Good morning, folks. Hope you all doing well today. Today is Saturday. Hope you all had a good week. And we got some really cold air pushing in the northeast this morning with high winds and wind chills in the -20, -30 range this morning, especially a lot behind this. Can't talk this morning. Behind this Arctic boundary, right? You see the high winds on the back side of it, and snow and blowing snow moving through with snow squalls. And overall, relatively cold in the parts of the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, middle part of the country, into the north parts of the Midwest. But the northern part of the U.S. is not that cold, really. Anyway, hope y'all doing well today. My name is Timmy Eller, meteorologist. Like my video if you like it, subscribe, and share it with your friends. If you have any comments or questions, just leave them in the comments below. And let's get started here. So most of our hazards are relegated to the eastern U.S., but we do have a red flag warning up here in parts of Colorado, Nebraska, and Wyoming, with some higher winds expected out here, wind gap events. Also parts of Montana, and we have wind advisory in parts of Oregon as well, and some air stagnation advisories in the valleys here out west, here in Idaho and California, and Nebraska special weather statement here for ice jams, flooding as a result of ice jams. So really kind of an interesting event, although not fun for the people that live there. And we have some winter weather advisories on the lee side of the lakes here, cold weather advisory parts of Ohio, Michigan, and some of these are covering up other ones. So wind advisory parts of North Carolina, lake wind advisory in South Carolina as well. Special weather statement in Georgia. We talked about that for and a wind advisory as well, but for fire danger here. Freeze warning in parts of southern Georgia, and freeze watch into parts of northern Florida here. Going further to the north here, we have high wind warning, cold weather advisories, excuse me, extreme cold warning, wind advisory as well here. Special weather statement for snow moving across the area, of course. We have all these different advisories here. Winter storm, extreme cold warning, winter storm warning for the Appalachians with the snow moving through there. So just a lot of cold weather related and high wind related and snow related alerts coming through today, hazards here. Just a lot of stuff going on right now. So here's a 7-day forecast for middle Georgia, a little bit of a different look here. Hope you all like this here. Tonight, overnight clear, high lows around 35 today. Winds 10 miles per hour from the northwest. Sunny skies, high 55. Low 28 tonight. Tomorrow, high 57 with light winds. Sunday night, low around 35. Monday, high near 70. Mostly sunny, partly cloudy overnight Monday night. Tuesday, rinse and repeat, high 70. Tuesday night, cloudy. And then we get some rain showers during the day on Wednesday, and low temperatures in the 50s. So warming up overnight here with the cloud cover. Still Wednesday night, low of 51. Thursday, high 71, partly sunny, then slight chance rain. And then moving towards Friday, about the same, low 50 Thursday night, and high of near 70 on Friday. And this is subject to change, of course, but um, no hazards here. And here's your graphical forecast showing the highs and lows here and the dew point, the temperature through Saturday. So, and here's your forecast summary as well. So there's some hazardous winds and relative humidities today in the country, right? And you got a red flag warning out west here in the parts of northern Colorado, parts of Nebraska here, for high winds and dry and potentially dangerous fire conditions. Also up here in parts of north and central Georgia, special weather statement related to that. Special weather statement here, wind advisory and cold weather advisory for this area as well. Maggie Valley. Let's see here. These are related to snow, right? But just for our area and out west here, let's see, these are ice melting, things like that. So just just be aware of the fire danger today in parts of north and central Georgia. Here's an interesting graphic showing the fire danger rating as of yesterday. So because of recent rainfall and things like that. Not as high the fire danger in north and central Georgia, but with the high winds and low relative humidities, which I'll talk about shortly here, any fires that do start, especially if they start down here in the south, which would be not as dry, but up here in northeast Georgia, especially, very high to extreme fire danger here. So the highest risk is in northeast Georgia today. So here's your ensemble take on what the temperature is going to be below normal to start with it today and tomorrow for central Georgia, warming up quite nicely through the week. 60s and 70s, lows in the 30s, 40s, and 50s. Then cooling off some over the weekend. All right, it looks like trying to bring colder air further to the south here, and then warming up again to above normal as we move towards the end of the month, with some higher uncertainty further out here. And you can see the uncertainty given by the distance between these blue lines here, right? So, of course, we get further out, uncertainty is higher. And the blue and red line depicts the average temperature for highs, average temperature for lows, and this dotted line is a freezing line here. So, um, kind of a variable pattern, and this has changed a little bit since yesterday, and we'll talk about why in the forecast coming up as well. So here are the key messages for the February extreme cold issued yesterday. And this is ongoing, right, with the wind gusts today, and the coldest wind chill valid through Monday. So snow squalls, um, wind chills in a negative 30, negative 40 degree range in New England and parts of the Northeast and the Appalachians through the weekend into Monday. And then it'll moderate, the temperatures will moderate some, so thankful for that, and hopefully it won't be quite as bad in the longer term. So we look at the day 3 to 7 hazards as we do every day. We get a return to hazardous cold and heavy snow and high winds and heavy precip here in Alaska to through the period, as well as high winds out west here in the higher terrain of the Rockies, the 9th and the 11th. Hazardous cold hangs on here in the 9th in the northeast of Mid-Atlantic, which is Monday, but thankfully it's going to move out after that. So when we go out west in the short term, what are we looking at here? We got the beginnings of a pattern change here with moisture streaming in the northwest with higher terrain snow and moisture lingering offshore here as well, and maybe streaming into parts of Oregon, Washington State, and Northern California. Maybe some showers starting to come in here into Southern California as well. Some moisture going over the higher terrain out here and overrunning, and then we got some snowfall, potentially heavy snow up here in the northern tier of the western U.S. When moisture continues to stream onshore here, you have more of a westerly flow here with warmer temps for the south, colder temps for the north here with this setup. And in accordance with what's going to be going on, I wanted to show you the precip totals from the rainfall here as we move through time, right? So the highest amounts right along the coastline here, a couple inches potentially here in the southern Oregon coast is Washington State up in the higher terrain. And also as we get further out in the period, maybe some heavier amounts in the higher terrain up here in Idaho. Let's see, Montana, parts of Wyoming, and parts of North Dakota as well. And if we look at the snowfall total, this is 10-to-1 ratio, which is probably good enough for out here. You see where the highest amounts are in the highest terrain here. With this onshore flow, likely snowfall, snow levels, freezing levels will be pretty high here, but highest amounts up here, right in parts of looks like northern Montana here. It's hard to really tell the higher terrain here, but let's focus in on the north part of this area. So this is your temperatures here out west, warming up quite nicely in the Southern California and parts of the desert Southwest. Of course, we talked about further to the east here, 60s and 70s. We talked about the central U.S. Cold temps, of course, in the Intermountain West and the Rockies. That's just part of wintertime here. getting in the 80s here in the desert Southwest as we get towards Sunday evening, right? And then, cools off overnight and then warms up again, 40s, 30s. Just not a lot of surprises here, although pretty warm here in the desert Southwest. Let's look at the wind gusts here. We go through this right along the Oregon coastline, the highest winds here, and in the higher terrain here in Montana, right on the Front Range here, and of course the Front Range of Colorado as well. And that kind of moves to the south here. You see the higher winds are relegated to the um, just to the south of where they were earlier in the period. Yeah, you got some wind gap events going on here, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts here, and hence the fire danger in this area. And then the higher winds move further to the east, and you got some higher winds along the California coast here, but not too high, and then the higher terrain here as well, and in the Oregon and Washington coast, mostly Washington coast here. So as far as the central U.S., what are you looking at here? We got the mountains out west here, and this is the NAM starting today about 7 a.m. Eastern. So anyway, not a lot going on, but you see the high pressure at the surface here. All right, moving through the time here, you see there's not a lot going on as far as sensible weather, with the exception of some moisture streaming up here in the desert Southwest. But the big problem we talked about was the winds. So I'm going to show you the wind gusts here. The wind gusts 50, 60 mile per hour in the higher terrain, and just to the east side of the Rockies with downslope winds really cranking here. So higher fire danger in this area today. We talked about that. Go back to the simulated surface features here. Some moisture may be returning to southern Texas, and that swath of snow moving down the Midwest here as well along a boundary, and moisture streaming in the northwest up into the parts of the north central U.S. with some heavy snow bands maybe building in here to the northern part of the area right at the end of this forecast period. As far as temperatures go for this area, warming up, really warm here, down in up in the 80s in southern Texas, into the 60s in the northern part, the central part of the U.S. For highs, warming up again tomorrow, although not quite as warm as today. This is Sunday evening, 60s, 70s, all along this area, right? And we go through into Monday, and it warms up again, and this is 1 p.m. Not quite as warm, but still warm enough. And you see how cold it is in the northwest part, in the northern part of this. A very distinct boundary here setting up. So I wanted to show you all this. This is the dew points to measure the amount of moisture in the atmospheric column. You see the dew points in the 20s and 30s here. With warming up, the dew points get higher further here into southern Texas, but not much higher than that. So during the day, here in Colorado and Wyoming, dew points in the 20s and 30s here. So quite dry, which is going to lead to high fire danger conditions, right? And even drier here tomorrow on the Front Range of the Rockies. This is 10 a.m. in the morning. Values approaching single digits here, right on the Front Range. So dew points gonna surge up here into the southern part of the U.S. towards the end of this period as well. So I decided to use a NAM this morning because for the Northeast here, because the HRR is underdoing the current precip moving through, and I feel like this model is really handling the mesoscale banding a lot better than the HRR is. If you switch to the HRR, 3 kilometer, it's like missing a lot of light precip here. So I don't know why. I mean, it has the banding here, but I decided to go with the NAM because it seems to capture that better. You look at the current radar, you can see that, right? Now, I don't know if this is reaching the ground here. We can see, look at the, can't really tell what's going on here. These are like, excuse me, these are like traffic cameras and things like that. So go here. Let's see. It was snowing there earlier. So I don't know. I don't know if this is reaching the ground or not, but the heavier bands definitely are. So, and we have some banding here further south. So going back to the, I don't know what my program's doing here. I'm going to go back to the model here. All right. NAM, the snow moving through the northeast and kind of wrapping up here right off the coast here of New England, and some banding setting up. Pretty interesting features here. Pretty neat look to it. And maybe right off the coastline, maybe getting some heavy snow here as it moves away. And some lake effect bands setting up, and then you have another system moving through the flow. Um, 5 a.m. tomorrow, roughly tomorrow morning. A band of snow setting up, maybe some lake enhancement there, maybe some freezing rain and sleet as this mostly the flow and kind of dampens out, right? And then maybe some more moisture and snow up to the far northern reaches of the Midwest here. Yeah, so as far as snow totals, overall pretty light amounts, even in the Appalachians, but along this swath here where that snow moves through later in the forecast period, maybe a couple inches. Along the lee side of the lakes look to be the most, and right along the New England coastline here, up in parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, maybe even Boston might get in on it here. So let's take a closer look at this. Yeah, so the NAM is showing the potential for up to 7 or 8 inches here um, as the system wraps up in these banding features, right, and up into the Canadian border here. I had trouble with the New England states, so forgive me. But anyway, these are the highest amounts for the Northeast Mid-Atlantic through 1 p.m. on Monday. As far as wind gusts, you can see starting off this about 5 a.m. today, the NAM 3 kilometer. Highest winds are in the Appalachians here, 50, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Even in Northeast Georgia, we have the higher fire danger here. Other areas, 20, 30 miles per hour, 40. Then even in parts of the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, as you go through time today. This map holds on to the high winds here, right? And tells you where they are over time. You see the other system moving through some higher winds up here into the Midwest and points to the west. But of course, like I said, the highest winds are going to be just offshore here, parts of New England in the higher terrain, and the southern Alps, especially here, higher terrain in the southern Alps here as well. So the biggest concern for the short term for the Northeast, the Mid-Atlantic, and even the Southeast is dry air too and winds, right? You see these dew points. This is today at 2 p.m. See the dew point at -7 here? That's very cold air and very dry air, all the way down into just encompassing a large area here. Generally, this area here in the single digits to teens with dew points, right? And we move this through time a little bit further. You get into the overnight hours. Dew points are a reflection of how low the temperature could go if the column became saturated at the surface, right? So lower dew points, of course, go lower at night. But you see how dry it is. My goodness. -10 dew points. So uh, we'll look at apparent temperatures and the field temperatures as well. You see that the dry air moves even further south tomorrow, all the way into parts of northern Florida, right? With near -20 degree dew points up here in parts of New York. Okay. Of course, when it warms up, a little more moisture return, but still teens, single digits, negative dew points here, which is very dry. Look at this, 2 a.m. and then at 1 p.m. See the dew points in the single digits and negatives in the Mid-Atlantic as well. Again, a little more moisture moving in from the south here will raise the dew points here some. So we start off, this is the surface temperatures, right? Negative single digits up here in the upper Midwest. Stay single digits or below here for a good portion of the Mid-Atlantic, even into in the Midwest as well. Doesn't get even nearly close to, it gets maybe to 0 degrees. The high's 4 degrees up here. That's insane. 5 degrees, New Jersey, single, teens for highs. This is highs, guys, right? And then look at the temperatures here in the Northeast. -11 for actual temperatures. Like, this isn't even wind chills. All right, so this is brutal. My brother lives up here near White Plains, and he's been telling me how the power bill has been through the roof here, and I can understand why with these temperatures, man. Wow. Thankfully, well, I mean, if this is a warm up, I'll tell you, I don't know what I do here, but single digits still in teens tomorrow. I know I'm clicking a lot here, but I'm just really taken aback by these temperatures. Warming up in the 20s. I mean, still cold. All right. So let's go to apparent temperature, and this will tell us our wind chills. Right. Go back a little bit. This is 9 a.m. Don't try to go out in this, guys. Negative 20, negative 30-degree wind chills here. I just, it's all I can say is yikes. It's brutal, right? Even the Appalachians, wind chills overnight tonight, still negative 20s, approaching negative 30 degrees in parts of northern New York. Just terrible. I feel bad for the homeless. I hope they have homeless shelters open. Go somewhere to stay warm. I'll tell you guys, this is life-threatening conditions here, and even into Monday, the wind chills in a negative here overnight. And thankfully, it selects up some, even though it's in the teens and single digits here, parts of the Northeast. So a major pattern change is on tap for the West Coast, February 14th through the 20th. And so we're going to move away from the above average temperatures uh, and go into the below average temperatures with above normal chances for precip. And of course, what's been happening is the snow to water ratios has been dropping because of lack of precip in the higher terrain. So this will be good for the snowpack, hopefully, and we'll build up the snowpack for the summertime when it drains off and melts. It provides water for everybody in the south, so the western U.S., excuse me. Possibly heavy snow during this time. You can read this graphic, but this is good news for folks that rely on this snowpack to give them water every year. So um, not so good for people who don't like rainfall, but if you live out west, and especially in the Pacific Northwest, you're used to this kind of weather this time of year. So when we go 8 to 14 day outlook, we also do this in mind of what's happening out west here with the slight risk of heavy precip and the pattern change going on here. So the 14th to the 18th, snowfall, a slight risk of heavy snow up here in the Northeast U.S., northern New England, and mostly focused out west here, the 14th through the 16th in the Sierra Nevada range, and a slight risk the 14th through the 18th here through that whole area. And the Intermountain West here, the 14th through the 18th for heavy snow. High winds are out west again, 14th through the 18th and 14th through 20th through a wide area here, Intermountain West, the least side of the Rockies here as well. No hazardous temperatures expected during this period. As far as the 6 to 10 day and 8 to 14 day temperature outlook, this is a 6 to 10 day outlook, right? We talked about this too, below normal. Chances are higher to have below normal temps out west and hanging on in the eastern U.S. with above normal temps in the central U.S. and above in the northern New England, below to near normal in Alaska, and above in Hawaii and above in the Aleutian Island chain. Precip chances on the increase here, especially the Southern California and desert Southwest, near normal to maybe below here in the far southern tier of the United States, tip of Texas and Florida. Otherwise, for Alaska, above, Hawaii above, and Aleutian Island chain above for precip chances as well. Yeah, so we moved the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook. This is spanning the 14th through the 20th. We have below normal temperatures expected out west and above normal temperatures expected east of this near normal area here, generally east of the Rockies, right? Below normal temps expected here in Alaska, above in Hawaii, and above in the Aleutian Island chain, which is interesting. Yeah, a nice change here. We're going to have above normal precip chances as well for most of the nation, with the exception of the far southern tier of the U.S. And southern Texas and parts of Florida still below average precip chances. Near normal to above in Alaska. Hawaii is all trending above, and Aleutian Island chain near normal to above as well. So going to through the end of February to the first week of March, this was issued yesterday. Here's the temperature outlook, trending above, kind of bisecting the nation here with the exception of the west coast and points north to maybe below normal chances, below normal temps way in the northern tier of the U.S., but equal chances in between here. So most confidence for above normal temps is in the red and orange areas here. So below normal temps in Alaska, likely, above in Hawaii, and below normal as well in the Aleutian Island chain. Less certainty on location of precip as we go further out, but looking to be above Pacific Northwest, Ohio Valley, Mississippi Valley, and below in the desert Southwest. Equal chances in the rest of the continental U.S., equal to below chances in Alaska, far southern Alaska below here. Equal chances Aleutian Islands and above, trending above in Hawaii here. So what does the longer term hold for us? Well, what I decided to do is start on Monday or the 9th here, right? We have moisture streaming out west here, and I'm going to compare all four of these models, the European, the Euro AI, and GFS and AI GFS, and also look at the Canadian as well. So starting off with the Euro. The Euro brings systems into the west and Intermountain West. Maybe wants to bring some moisture back here into the south, but doesn't do much with it. Develops this low in the Central Plains. And you see how it has this trough digging in here. You see it moves it out, right? This is the 13th. Has another southern stream system here. What a run here, guys. I don't buy into this, but the pattern is kind of set up here. If this trough digs, right, low moves out, a deeper trough digs, cold air. We've seen this scenario played out quite a few times this year with the low moving up and out to sea. That's a very weird pattern here. So let's go back one run with the Euro, see what was at with this. Well, it doesn't go this far out because it's only 144 hours. Let's go a run before that. Has a much deeper trough and it brings it further to the east here. So either way, the potential is there for something to develop here. It'd be weird if we got this again this year. I'll be kind of surprised this happens, but anyway, moving back here, that's pretty far out, but that's 7-8 days from now, so it's worth talking about. All right, so look at the Euro AI. What does it do? Roughly the same thing in the short term. Maybe some moisture streaming here to the north, and you got colder temps up here in the northeast. Maybe some rainfall moving through the south. Intermountain West getting in on this, right? High pressure remaining control here, at least according to the Euro AI. And you have maybe the return to some colder temps and snow here, and maybe some severe weather in the deep south. You see this low and how the Euro AI wants to bring this to the north. And kind of does like the Euro the Euro run before was taking it right up to the northeast and a nor'easter, 990 millibar low, a deep trough of low pressure out west as well, bringing heavy rain all along the west coast here. And this is pretty far out, guys, but you know, you go back to the Euro about this time, the 15th. Right, let's go back. So see what it wants to do. The trough is not as sharp here, right? You go, let's see. Yeah, so hour 210. Let's go to hour 210 here. All right, so this is the position of this trough. This is the position here. So big difference here. So let's look at the GFS 0006 Z run. Roughly about the same time. Let's see 18Z on the 15th. Wants to put a trough along the eastern seaboard, but it doesn't dig it for as far to the south. So let's start this off here. West coast moisture, east coast cold air moving through here. Got Some moisture may be coming through here in the central U.S. and the western U.S. Trough digging out west. And around the 13th, it maybe wants to develop a wave along this surface high that is pushing down here, right? It doesn't keep this push as further to, look how far south it gets here. All right, so it doesn't push as far to the west as the Euro does, okay? It's a totally different scenario here. So a lot of uncertainty what's going to happen here, at least between the global models. So what's the AIGFS do? Let's just see here. High pressure at the surface here, maintaining a northerly flow here, still maintains it, and once it develops this low off the lee side of the Rockies and moisture out west, it brings this low to the east and develops a storm. Now if we compare that to the GFS about this time, totally different scenario. So I would say, although it wants to do something here, where the GFS AI, let's see, the 13th, has something moving through the flow, but a different scenario. So still quite a bit of uncertainty with the global models here. So those are the four big guys. I'm going to go over the Canadian model also here next. So here's the Canadian model, and you know, we'll go through time with this, the western moisture here. Moisture coming into Southern California. Some moisture maybe returning to this central U.S. and moving offshore here. And this has kind of a similar look to a few of the other global models with maybe some a wave of low pressure moving along this flow. And then you get further out with this towards that time period of interest we're talking about with this low development here. It doesn't have nearly as cold of a profile. And once you develop a low off the coast here, just like the Euro does, although not as intense here. So there's some confidence that something's going to develop on the eastern seaboard during this time period. With, of course, out west, we know the pattern change is coming. And so we got low pressures out west leading to hard to rain snow, onshore flow in the west coast here. You see the deep trough out west here, and more zonal flow to the east here. So this far out is quite uncertain. This is 10 days out, but if we go back to the time frame of interest, this is 7-8 days away. So we're getting within some, I wouldn't say certainty forecast, but at least we can talk about it a little bit more. The fantasy runs really come when you get further out, but even 7 days is hard. But you look at general things and trends. So if you want my opinion, I think the GFS might be an outlier based on all the current runs as far as what it's doing. But so it remains to be seen what happens. But I think the potential is there for East Coast magic one more time here in early February. We'll see. Hopefully my friend Mitch might get some snow again. That'd be nice for him. So anyway, that's all I got for today. I hope you all have a good day and take care out there, and God bless.